All right, welcome to another episode of our podcast, Alotta Racket. And we mean Alotta Racket. We don't mean tennis racket, we mean Alotta Racket. But we make it fun. And today we have a special guest that we're all going to enjoy and we're all going to learn a lot from. And we'll get into that in a second. But let me introduce our host. On my far right, Terry T-dawg Davis, the man,
yes, sir.
The myth, the legend. Next to Terry is my son, Errol Ez Smith.
Here.
Way to go. And on my left is Victor Troy Collins.
It's me, all right.
The man of the hour with the devastating power. And myself, of course, Coach Slinger, Roger Smith. All right. Anyway, we create a lot of a racket here on this podcast, but we keep it real and we make it fun for everyone. But we also, this podcast sends a message to everyone. So all you listeners will learn something and hopefully take away something from this podcast that we know that will help someone somewhere with the story of our guests. On my right, none other than Danielle Lao. Hey, better known as the Little Giant. I'm sure you've seen that all over social media. You know, anyway, Danielle, so happy to have you here on our podcast. So excited. I know you have a busy schedule. You were traveling throughout the summer, and we tried to get you on about a month ago, but just scheduling didn't happen. But anyway, thank you for making time for us.
No, this is great. Glad we could find a Sunday.
Now, for most of you who don't know, I coached Daniel for a couple of years, over the last few years actually, and we grew a lot together just as a team. And as you know, a player-coach relationship involves team, right? It doesn't involve just a player and just a coach and all that. No, it involves team. And what I know about this individual, she is the most dedicated, hardest worker, disciplined that you ever want to meet. I mean, if you tell Danielle Lao to walk a straight line, she will say, draw that line a little straighter. Okay, she will. Here, just let me just give a little thing. She was practicing at the Washington tournament a few years ago. And I don't know if she was missing serves or whatever, but she noticed that something's wrong with this court. And after she got done, who was it? Was it Kyrgios?
It was
Dimitrov, they came to the court. And she says, hey, I just want you to know something's off with this service line. And they're like, oh, you crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with this service line. And sure enough, they played and they said, oh, wait, maybe something is wrong. She went to the tournament director and she said, hey, man, you need to double check this line because it's off. They said, no way. We just paid all this money, had all the courts redone. There's no way it's off. Sure enough, they checked and the line was off. This is who we have on today. D. Lao. So welcome, D. Lao. D. Lao, man, look, let's start off with, how did you get into tennis?
Well, I tell this story a lot. And a lot of people think, oh, like, did you have any history? Did your parents play? No. Playing tennis was a complete accident for me. I was around like the age of 7 in Mexico for a vacation. My parents had a timeshare. They had a timeshare meeting to go to, and instead of dumping me at, a daycare, they left me at a tennis court, had me take some tennis lessons, and then, one thing led to another. I came back, started taking group lessons at Arcadia Park, maybe 5 minutes from my house, and then group lessons became private lessons. Private lessons became a satellite tournament, and at that moment, in that time in the beginning, I don't really know if I really liked tennis. It was more like I was trying to be a good kid. My parents told me to be there. I'm going to give my 100%. I'm going to do my best. I was actually playing golf at the time also.
Yeah.
And But my first competitive tournament, I won that tournament. And the moment the tournament director gave me my trophy, that's when I started to love it. And I swear to you, I loved winning before I started loving tennis. And as the relationship with the sport grew, you know, the process, seeing that you work for something and you see like progress and improvement, eventually there's an appreciation for the sport. And then the love for the game grew, like year by year by year. And so, and eventually it flipped. You become, you know, passionate about the game, like the journey, more than the actual wins themselves. And yeah, so I guess like from satellite tournaments, became nationals, and then I blink, I'm 16, 17 years old, and deciding if I want to turn pro, go to college. Wasn't ready for the pro tour yet, went to USC, played 4 years there. Wasn't sure if I wanted to turn pro, kind of you know, interviewed with some jobs, you know, after graduating, and nothing felt right. And I started to play on tour, and then been on tour for 10 years, and now here I am.
Unbelievable. Let's go back, because you told me a story about one of your first coaches that I guess it was after the program you hired or got a private coach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And can you explain that? Because I think it's going to really surprise these guys. Who was he and that experience?
After the group lessons?
Yes.
Yes. So I was taking group lessons from Kelvin Brown, and so you guys probably know them.
Will Rogers Park.
Calvin Brown.
Will Rogers Park.
Yeah.
The funny part about it, when you're telling me the story, that's the kid I grew up playing tennis with. He was actually the first stop from Compton. Was Will Rogers Park. Actually, we stayed with his sister.
So that's how you know.
Oh, no. I forgot about that. That just came into my mind. But his sister told him, she told Kelvin, hey, I met this guy come to college plays tennis. And so we got together, we started playing.
Oh, okay.
And I tried to catch the bus down and play with him. It's so funny. Right there in Watts, right in the heart of the first riots that we've had here. That's 65, right? Yeah. It's such a small world.
Yes.
Wow.
And shout out to Calvin.
Shout out to Calvin.
Calvin's been around for a while, and he's still out there doing it.
He's still doing it.
But an experience that Danielle spoke to me about also, well, here's a couple experiences that she mentioned that I really connected to, that you can connect to also. One was, it was her first introduction to soul food. He took her to a soul food restaurant. And the second story that I'm going to have Danny talk about is, I remember you saying that he would maybe arrive a little late to practice in Arcadia, because Danny's from Arcadia. And he would come all the way from Compton or whatever to Danny. He would be a little late, and Danny innocently would, and you can say, would ask him why was he late or whatever.
Just like the line thing up.
So share that story, Danny.
I like that.
His car would always break down.
Oh, wow. That's every brother.
That's every brother.
we all had a car breakdown.
Kelvin would show up with a different Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
Different color, different paint job. This one's not going to break down. He swore to me I'll be on time next time.
Wow.
So when she was here. God.
But you would ask him sometimes why he was late, and he would say something about, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, on a more, like, serious note, not the car. I guess, like, driving through, like, the neighborhood, especially the neighborhood that I'm around, you know, the police are not used to seeing his type of car and his type of person in the area.
Blacks!
Hey.
You can be real here.
Hey, watch it. They used to it, and they instructed to keep them out of that neighborhood. You know. Oh my God, that's funny.
I didn't think anything of it. I mean, he took me to soul food and everything. I just blend in with everybody. Just But Kelvin was the first one that really taught me about discrimination, racism. I was young, I had no clue.
What nationality are you?
I'm Chinese.
Chinese. Wow. Ni hao. Ni
Lao.
hao.
Yeah.
Don't start me. I'm supposed to. Everyone.
He got a little.
Hey, shit.
No, Nia.
Don't mess with me. I'm trying. That's all I know. It's 2 words.
But I thought it was interesting, right? Because he would actually tell her, hey, sometimes we don't get through as easy as others. And, when the cops are, looking at you and seeing you in this Volkswagen and seeing that you're black in this neighborhood, predominantly either Asian or white, in Arcadia, there's some things that go with that. And we've all witnessed that, Danny. But that was, I just thought it was funny, not funny, but just her innocence. And he was trying to tell her, look, this is the way it is in our culture. And we've all been through that, Troy, you've got a lot of stories too, but how do you connect that?
Those things are past me now,
You put it past you.
Yeah, I worked hard, therapy, all of that, to put all those scars behind me, so I try not to, the future is beautiful, right? But, so I try not to give that any energy anymore. I think anybody in America or the rest of the world knows the plight of the American black man and black female, so I think it's documented, throughout our great history, so.
Danny, I met you for the first time, obviously, when I was with the USTA in Carson. And Danny would come out in our afternoon
What age
practices.
group?
She was 16. Well, we had all juniors, all the top juniors.
Yeah,
And
so
Danny
she was a part of your national, a part of the, when you were.
Yes.
Yeah, so you guys were going age, that's why I asked you, what was the
Well,
graduating age?
any top player that was invited in Southern Cal could come
Of course.
to Carson. 10 years old through 18. Danny was about 15 or 16. Danny stood out because Danny, number one, was always very respectful to all the coaches. She was also a hard worker. She would just intake everything. So you got to be careful what you say around Danny, because Danny will intake everything and run with it. But at the same time, Danny would be the one player that would bring you cookies.
Homemade cookies?
She would homemade. Danny, well, we're gonna find out later. This girl right here can cook. This girl can cook.
Wow.
This girl is why I'm the steak guru right now. It's because of D-Lao.
Wait a minute. Kelvin took you to the soul food. Did you give him your soul food? Soul food goes across the board with every nationality because that's your own food.
Well, Kelvin would teach me at a park, maybe like 2 minutes from my house, and he would pop in my house for lunch, for dinner.
Why not?
Yeah. Sometimes his grandma cooking. When I was that age, I didn't cook too much. Grandma did most of the cooking, but he was having my soul food too.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
So you would come to Carson, obviously, with the top players and whatever. How was that experience for you and in your development along the way? And what kind of things did you take out of that?
I mean, for me, growing up, I was never a top player from the ages of 10 to 14. So being at Carson at the USTA, at that time, it was a huge honor for me. And so that probably explains why I wanted to take everything in. I listened to everything, and I just really wanted to take advantage of that experience too. I was never homeschooled, so my time on court was quite limited. And so that's why I only came for the afternoon session too. I was in school. So when I came for the afternoon session, it was like 2 hours, quality, 100% focus. And just to be in that environment with the top players that I thought I could never play with, it brought my level up too, and it made me realize like how good I can be also if I had that type of environment all the time. Because prior to that, my practice would be just like private lessons 5 times a week. I didn't get to mix with other juniors. And from the ages like 15 and onwards, that's when when I started to come into my own with my tennis, just by mixing with my peers a bit more. And so maybe at the time, I didn't really realize it, but you know, when you're young, you have this intuition that, you know, a good thing is kind of happening.
Did you play high school tennis?
I played 1 season.
San Marino? Did you?
No, I went to LaSalle High School.
Okay. Super, man.
So you did, obviously, you did well in junior tennis for sure, to even be invited to the USTA in Carson. And you chose college.
Did you see her over there? Did you have an eye on her when you were coaching?
Danny, did I have an eye on you? Did we have a relationship?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
no, that's a
Yeah,
valid,
no.
You know what I mean?
I'm glad
because he has a great eye for what? Talent, right?
Well, the thing is, one of the things I always use to scout talent that a lot of people don't use is ask the other players. And the players that they're afraid to play or they hate to play, those players, they have something.
Don't you?
Well, I'm saying it as it relates to D. Lao.
You just made.
Listen to this. D. Lao was one of the players where her name would consistently come up amongst the other players. Now she would be in school, like she said, and the other homeschool kids would practice in the morning. They would always have lunch in the conference room, and obviously we would engage in talks and stuff. And D-Lao was one of the names that always come up. How she's a thorn in your you-know-what. This girl don't play. I hate playing her. She fights. You play. Who you gonna play? Oh, you better be ready. So you know the players that have something. And D-Lao, like I said, her name came up consistently. Even in the Pro Tour, even when I was coaching Nicole Gibbs, and Nicole Gibbs was definitely top 100, and we would go to a challenger in Canada. I remember one particular practice, she was practicing with D-Lao, and D-Lao was, and Nicole knew this, D-Lao was on fire, and just was kicking butt the first set, and she just turned to me, obviously in the back, she said, "This girl always gives me freaking just this girl." And then after practice, she would come back and say, I just don't understand how this girl is just not ranked higher. She should be ranked so much higher. Oh, wow. This would be the pre-practice. I'm doing the practice session, and then afterwards, right? And we're like, her name still was out there at this. So you chose though USC.
Well, before I have another question for junior tennis, okay? So how was the psychology about that? How did you, or did you not even think about it at all, that these other players were homeschooling and they were getting more practice than you versus you getting 2 hours a day? And you knew the system that they were in. They were homeschooled. They'd get these so-called great coaches in the morning, 2.5, and 2.5 in the afternoon. How did you have the mindset to say, I only need 2 hours a day of practice for their 4 hours a day?
I actually think that mindset came from my dad.
How did he articulate that?
A few different ways. Before I went to USTA, other than taking tennis lessons, my dad would feed me balls.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would be at 7 p.m. at night, sometimes 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And, I have to go home and do homework. But we would go out and he'll be like, Danielle, you have 60 minutes. You need to be here 100% for every single ball. Mm-hmm. You don't have the luxury to be out here for 5 hours.
Yeah. Did you hear what they call that, people? A luxury. See how see the definition of that now? in another great champion's mind. They look at that. And I want all of you that are going to school in a traditional format, I want you to look at that they have a luxury versus you, that 2 hours. That's beautiful stuff, because I'm a firm believer of high school tennis. Stay in school, learn leadership skills, be a captain on your team. Unless you just are that exceptional one. But even in when you look at the team sports, LeBron and all of those, and the teams, they still come up in a format as individual players. They still have the responsibility of being team leaders, captains. And how else do you promote those leadership skills if you homeschool 15 years?
Well, again, Daniel said it starts from home.
Right.
You learn that from home. I don't care if you're homeschool. I don't care if you're regular school. It starts from home.
That's right.
Point blank.
Beautiful.
And that's why I believe, and Danny can attest to this, I believe in inclusivity, even in coaching. Mm-hmm. To say that you're going to take this player away from home to produce he or her to be a champion, no. Because we all know that it starts from here. So why not use our resources? Not eliminate the parents or the adults that are around this individual for 21 hours of the day, and we only have them for 3 to 4 hours a day. Why not include the parents or whoever's responsible for getting in the player's mind?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. All you gotta go keep sending your kids over to Spain and all of that and wherever else. Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah,
go ahead, keep sending your children on over there.
No, they need that closeness.
They need to be at home.
They need that closeness.
What child doesn't need to be at home?
Well, some kids don't need to be at home.
Well, it's a metaphor.
There's some that don't need to be at home. Because I can think of a few situations where they don't need to be at home.
Let that or have the luxury of having a mom and dad, so they can send all places where they can create them families. So that's another side of the coin.
Explain that. I don't understand that.
That's what makes us all up the way we are. Because you have those kids that don't have that home structure, but then they learn that out there in the world. They get a whole new family. Not that they dump their own family, but they're being taught what family is all about.
But at what age do you want their process?
It's not about what I want, it's about what they have.
And here's what I was going to say. Danny, do you think you could have learned that from anywhere else?
No.
Would it have sunk in so deeply?
No.
Exactly. There it is right there. And if you ask any aspiring tennis professional, any a kid coming up from a good background, they will all answer the same way. You know what? My dad, my mom, my sister,
Grandma,
my brother, my grandpa,
auntie.
I couldn't learn that anywhere else. Yeah, we had a guest earlier, Tian, she talked about that. She said the same thing, even in China. She said the same thing. What I've learned, I don't know, maybe it's my upbringing from my parents. So you cannot take these kids away. You work with what they have.
I'm a sore believer in that.
Use it.
Sometimes it just gets to the point where they have no other choice.
Sometimes they don't.
They have no other choice. And it's a sad thing. You have mental illness in the homes.
This is true.
You have broken homes. There have been great athletes come out of those kind of environments also, but later on, stuff goes on.
But there was someone else.
Yeah, there was someone else.
That took that role.
Yeah, but they wish they always had certain things.
Of course.
And Daniel, so what launched your career? At what point, from the age of 10, going to 16, being invited to Carson, getting on the tour, at what point did it
click?
Did you launch?
Launch as in start to get hyper competitive, or all of a sudden just have a dream? Or Both.
What does that mean, hyper competitive? For those folks who don't know, no, I'm serious, because that word, when you start using that word, and as far as when you're competing or training, and that's another level. And somebody don't know about that other level. They don't even know their ceiling. They're still stuck down here. How would you help someone through what you've been through?
I mean, for me, like, if I were to tell you when I started to be hyper competitive, I think I was always like that.
Woo!
I think I was always like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but maybe it is like you were talking about. Some of it was upbringing. I started golf at the age of 4. Grandma taught me how to play golf. And maybe it wasn't the most conducive to like the longevity of my golf career, but I was already starting to play the course at around like 8. And there was always a number attached to something and a way to like measure yourself every single time you got out on the course too. So it was just like programming from a very young age that if I shot 80 this day, next time I want to shoot 79, or I mean, you know, it was always like there's always has to be some sort of improvement. It was, I wouldn't say it wasn't allowed, but there was always the goal to be better the following day. And so then when I got into tennis, it was just the same thing. Did I have a dream to be a professional tennis player at the age of 7? No, because that dream was not made known to me until I saw it on TV when I was 10. But the idea of being better today than yesterday, if I hit 7 in a row yesterday, I want to hit 8 in a row today, like something simple like that, that was from the beginning.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, so can you remind me of the question you're talking about?
Oh, you just answered the question.
You did.
I was asking at what point did your career launch as far as like an AT ranking, I don't know, the women's ranking or the college rankings, Where did you finish in college? What was your best year out of the 4?
I believe my best ranking in college, I was 3 in the nation, but the number 1s were tied, so I technically was 2.
Wait. I was reminded, or someone told me that UCLA knocked you guys out.
Whoa.
There was something going on over there. He said it a little bit down low.
I ain't say it like that. Can you put it on for the record? How it went down?
I'm trying to think of the last.
Why did you choose USC?
Close to home.
Okay, that's good.
Close to home. I had. I was looking at North Carolina, Northwestern.
No.
Those were the offers I had when USC came around. I couldn't leave Southern Cal.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
And just like you're saying, like I didn't want to leave home.
Right.
I didn't go home very often when I was in college, but I'd like to have that option to go home.
Yeah.
Any regrets?
No, absolutely not. Best experience I've had, for sure.
What was so good about it?
I think those 4 years gave me time to develop, as a player, as a person.
More mentally or technically?
Mentally, for sure.
So the loopholes you're pretty solid, but you needed to grow mentally.
Yeah, and also like just coming into a team setting with 7 other girls that are pretty hyper competitive too.
Right.
And a lot of these girls, they were girls that I looked up to growing up because they were SoCal juniors, in the past. Coming in, seeing my team captain as a freshman, I was like, I want to be team captain one day.
Right. See that?
And you did.
Yeah. And I love the whole like team captain, dynamic, because I think it really does inspire the younger generation to aspire to that too. So not only from like you're as a team captain, you learn leadership skills, you learn how to manage things a certain way. You're also inspiring the people that are coming up in the program also. And when the younger ones are hungry like that to groom themselves to become leaders, it's just better for the whole team in general too. So just like in hindsight, I really love like that dynamic, and also just building a second like form of family. That was really awesome too. And of course the education, leaving school with a degree, like gosh, it was the best like insurance
You can honestly say your tennis, well maybe for you, that your college players are a big part of your life now.
My college.
College teammates.
Absolutely.
Oh, congratulations.
Absolutely.
You Slinger?
Oh yeah.
Your college teammates?
Yeah.
My college teammates tried to have me kicked off the team.
Oh,
I went to San Diego State, shout out, but I went there, it was 37,000 students and only 200 blacks. And I came from LA, so the other bros was from Detroit, gee whiz. I came home every weekend, man, and went to First AME Church with my mama and had barbecue. I did, Terry, tell the truth. I came home every weekend. So I had a horrible college experience socially. And if I had to do it all over again, listen to me, beautiful black young men out there, I would have chosen a historically black college to go to. Number one, I would have applied myself and graduated, okay? And number two, I would have had a wonderful social experience as well. So for me, it was just a horrible. I tried to get T to come to school with me, but he had to go to Chapman.
No, it was said that if you go down there with Troy, you're not going to do well.
let's get real.
Instructions for my family.
Let's get real.
So that's your boy. You need to go somewhere where you can shine.
You can cry.
You can shine.
Yeah.
But hold on.
But one more last question, because what was, and this is a tradition, what was the biggest transition from high school to managing, a championship team and grades? Your time management. How did you make that transition?
I think in high school, everything's kind of laid out for you. You got, every day it's the same story, right? You got class from 8 to 3, go practice, and every day was like pretty consistent. Mom and dad are kind of there to hold you accountable, go to bed at 11. Like, not that they were telling me, but gosh, if my lights were on and I was making noise past 11 p.m., like I felt bad. But in college, it's, my first couple weeks in college, I just felt so free. If I didn't want to do homework, I don't have to. If I want to stay at Starbucks till 11 p.m.,
sure.
No one was going to tell me no. If I wanted to walk around at night, no one was going to tell me no.
That's great.
And then I could practice tennis morning. Those 60, 90 minutes, right? If I wanted extra individual time, I could. If I wanted to go to the gym a little extra, I could. So there was just so much freedom. And my freshman year, I had to first of all, manage, the school workload, because it's different also. When you're going through high school, you have a lot of assignments to kind of keep you on track, keep you accountable. In college, sometimes it's just an essay here, an essay there, a midterm, and then you got the final. And if you bomb any of those, you're in trouble. So it's about being able to keep on pace without having those checkpoints, going throughout a course. So I had to kind of learn that studying in college was a little different than studying in high school. And then on top of that, because I only had 4 or 5 academic events per course, it made it tempting to play too much tennis. Now that it was available to me and I just had to walk, and I didn't need to drive anywhere, I just had to walk, courts were there. If I wanted to go to the gym a little bit extra, I could do all that. So yes, time management was tough. Freshman year, I definitely overdid the tennis, and I definitely overdid the gym, because those were all the things that I wanted to do more when I was in high school, but I just couldn't. And then sophomore year, got a little bit better, and then junior year, I really dialed it back, went back to more quality, and had things a little bit more set up. Probably would have 2 or 3 individuals per week, not every day. Having an individual, 2 or 3 individuals per week, and making the most out of team practice. And then at the same time communicating with my coaches what I needed to make my time on court the most efficient also. So I felt by junior, senior year, I kind of knew what I needed, what I wanted, and then was also a bit more accustomed to, the dynamic of, the academics, and also utilizing study hall, the tutors that, the school was going to provide you. As a freshman, I was oh gosh, I don't want to go to tutoring. I don't need tutoring. But by
you guys had a lot of pressure on you. You had the men's tennis team that were kicking butt, right? And then UCLA, Stella, and Rams was all. So you had a lot of pressure. Trojans had a lot of pressure during that era, right?
No, for sure.
Did they pull out any championships during that era?
No.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know what he's doing right now, right?
That's tough.
I said earlier about what he said.
That's
But also
tough.
Stanford was in there.
Who was your coach?
Richard Gallion.
Oh, Rich.
Not sure what that was about.
My only high school loss in the finals. A scrawny little, 9. You know what happened?
What? Someone made a bad call.
Bro, forget all that. I was so geeked up, me mommy was there, eh? I cracked 4 rackets, bro. What? Split them in half. Boom, boom, boom. I was finna drop him, man. Oh, I broke 4 rackets, man, in 3 games, bro. And I had to borrow a racket. And I lost to Richard Gallion. You know what his dad said? Oh, this is the first tournament he's ever won. And it was the final city championship. The city championship. You know. That was
Shout out.
How hard is that?
Shout out.
You gotta shout out to the Tony.
Yeah, that's probably his best.
Well, here, let me say. Okay, so let's just. I want to just talk about more going into your freshman year of college. Did you have any like expectations on like what you wanted to achieve? Because when I was going to college, obviously following my dad, it's a tough act to follow. And then I have mentors like Terry and Troy, and they were just like, when you go in college, you got to go get it. You got to get it. Whatever you can get, go get it. But did you have any like expectations going in on accolades or where you went to finish or?
Honestly, for me, I was going into college with a 6-month losing streak.
Wow.
I had no expectations.
6 months.
6 months. Yes.
Wow.
So All-American, all that business, no. It was like, I need to win my first match in front of Richard Gallion. That was my expectation. That was my goal in life.
No way.
Yeah, I was on a 6-month.
Did you?
Yes, I did. My first tournament in college, it was the All-American. And I had to play like pre-qualifying. Like I was at the bottom of the
That's like
totem pole.
12 matches or something total, like to win?
I made it all the way to the quarterfinals.
No way.
Qualified.
That's
and
huge.
Made it to the
That's
quarterfinals
crazy.
off of a 6-month losing streak.
That's
Anything can happen,
crazy.
guys.
You got full ride.
That's ooh.
Wow.
That's beautiful. It's coming. I'm getting better.
All right, so we're back with Alotta Racket.
I'm recording this already. I'm getting better.
And if you know how it is when we take a break, this is how it is. Hey, but again, let me just introduce our guest, Danielle Lao, the little giant. How did you get that name, the little giant?
I made it for myself.
Whoa.
In high school. Yeah.
And
I was just in English class and we had an exercise to come up with like oxymorons. And so I came up with like jumbo shrimp, the little giant, and then I had computer class right after, and this was right when Twitter was coming out, and you need to come up with a Twitter handle, and I was like,
Wow.
I'll just go with it. Yeah, I'm the little giant. Okay, the little giant.
See,
and then
that's Twitter.
Instagram came out, and I just
Look
kept
at
it
that.
consistent.
That's great.
She was ahead of the game.
And I always thought it was because of how she played. A little petite or whatever, fast as I don't know what, but small axe cut down big tree. And she compete like the biggest of the biggest, right? Because she's an aggressive player. I always thought it was because of tennis. But it wasn't. I was so surprised. I was really surprised.
It stuck well.
Yeah, that's a big name to live up to now.
Hey, she's seasoned. She is seasoned.
The funny thing about that is culturally, in the black culture, we're indoctrinated early on that the smallest is the baddest.
True.
Size doesn't catch up. It may never catch up. I was watching the thing with Jordan and his brother. That they now said he got all his moves from his brother.
Right.
Look, so for us, we never looked at that as a deficit. We always looked at that size as an attribute because of speed. And so where I come from, the littlest, was always the baddest. It was never the big goofy guy. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what I mean? So I always try to articulate the attributes of her great size.
But it's interesting you even said that power is speed. Anything fast is powerful. You understand that? The fastest cars is powerful. The fastest human being.
Velocity behind it.
Powerful.
You could just,
right? Power is speed. So that is a powerful word. Speed.
And in sports, it's a weapon.
Of course.
It's a great. Look at Mayweather. Look at so for us, and that's not a deficit.
Right.
It's an attribute. So I've always gotten the most out of with that conversation with young ones. Minds that are open. And then we have another saying: it's not the size of the dog; it's what the fight that's in the dog.
Right.
So we have so many positive reinforcements in terms of, a size.
Yeah. And when you're smaller, you do have to work harder sometimes, right?
You should have been number one in the world. Because, theoretically, because in lateral movement against me, there's no way that I should be able to catch up to you or your ball in lateral
But you
movement.
won't. You won't catch up to her.
No, you're right. You're right.
You're not gonna catch up to speedy little giant. How fast is
I said theoretically, right?
Yeah.
Because when and because this is what made me great, because that's who I lost to. So I knew that I had to go work on speed, footwork, and then now if you're 6'4" and you're running a 4.4, when you got but it takes tremendous work ethics, and this is what I think gets us to that level, because we always that one that we couldn't catch up to.
And she's cut down a lot of big trees, trust me, on that tennis court. And come on, before we get into your pro career, but what were the two things I told you was your biggest weapons?
My speed and my hands.
Yeah,
speed and hands.
There you go.
That's who she was.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Come on.
Speed
so
and
we
hands.
could give so many great Barry Sanders. So you have this uniqueness.
Why did you say the hands? Because she was at net. How she prepared.
Oh, no. She's got touch.
No.
Yeah, you say
no. Dude,
easy.
When we go to practice and she's volleying, it's a different type of volley. The hands are quick. It's coming through the court. Especially against women, when I'm hitting with women, they can't catch the hands behind the ball. She can get behind the ball.
There's a vision. How much of that's vision? Low center of gravity.
You tell me. Is it like, how do you? I don't know what it is, but when I hit with you and I see your volleys, it's ridiculous. What's the science?
I honestly don't know. This was just made known to me very recently.
Slinger, is it vision?
Well, no. Danny can tell you the story, because she's. Oh, go ahead, Danny. Why was it made so recent to you, though? I don't mean just because I said it, but
No. I mean, this is good for other people to know. Like, also, I think kind of what you guys have been saying. I've always known that I've been small, and growing up, my dad always told me, "You're not going to be as big as everybody, so you need to be smarter. You need to work more efficiently."
Good stuff.
But what I had been missing for a big majority of my career is, like, no one really built me up ever for anything that I brought physically to the table. Like, I know I'm quick, but no one's really told me, like, you are fast, incredibly fast. and no one really, made it known to me to build like my hands. They were just like, no, you have
These
good
things
hands.
are weapons.
Yeah, they said I'm proficient at them, but nothing great. And I wonder if I would have excelled even more in my career if that was made known to me earlier.
Do you have any clue when you're playing matches? Nobody was going to hit a ball past you.
Yeah, good stuff, T.
They can get every
Good stuff,
you
T.
have confidence of running down every ball.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of you being steady, consistent to get to the point where you want to be. Did you even have any kind of?
Okay, so with that, I always thought I just saw the ball really well. I
There
anticipated. I can
it is.
anticipate.
Wow, right.
I will say, like kind of what Errol was saying, I see the flight very well.
So you get a jump on that ball.
Yeah, I see the flight very well.
Mookie Betts,
She picks it up.
Yeah, I see the flight very well.
shortstop, second base, third
The
base.
flight and the bounce, I see it very well. And I never attributed like my ability to get the ball or chase down balls to my speed. But I wish I did, because if it was made known to me that, wow, you track the ball very well and you have speed, I probably would have put those two together to be a bit more offensive, to use them as weapons and not just as maybe like survival
Yeah,
mechanisms.
we promote that speed as a weapon, not for defense, but use it for offense. Put yourself in the position to maximize your strength using your speed.
Well, I think
You got to go in the speed verse, man. Flash. Go in the
yeah, but I think what happens all too often, and this is a lesson to be learned out there also, is we're constantly being told, obviously, about seeing the ball, but looking at the physical part of you and saying, hey, you're not going to be like we look at size as being power. And that's not necessarily true, like we've just discussed. So most people see the ball, defend. See the ball, just track. They don't go a step further to say, see the ball, track, get in position, let it go.
Transfer your weight.
Your hands, and the fact that you can get there earlier.
Yeah.
So when Danny called me up a few years ago, and we were talking about coaching and stuff, and I had to come out. And before, if you know how I do things, before I even get the player on the court, I watch videos. And as I'm watching Danny's videos, I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Why is Danny so far back? Why is she just giving up court? Why is she slicing so many balls? When she's there, she's the fastest girl out there. Why is she not fighting to get in position to deliver a certain kind of ball, to neutralize the person, versus just tracking it, getting there, and slicing it only? So we came up with I came up with a plan, and I said, look, this is how we have to do things. If you don't believe in this, then obviously we can't work together. Because I believe in this. I believe in your speed, I believe in your hands, and I believe you can play aggressive tennis. And knowing Danny, even from a young age, that's what she did. The kind of ball she hit was very difficult when she hit the ball for her opponents to kind of, take the offense. But as I saw those videos, I saw a lot of slicing. She was getting there on time and just only slice. So I came up with some rules. I came up with some rules to Danny, She didn't like it in the beginning, right? I said, like, for instance, first 3 games. What can you not do in the first 3 games, Danny?
No slice.
Slice. What can you do in the first 3 games? You can't not what? Run. Can't even take a step for the ball.
Okay.
Right? You've got to move for every ball. I'm sorry. Because she's so quick. She's got to make it known that if they hit a winner, it's going to be 1 out of 1 in a million. Yeah. Because then, even if she got close, the next one's got to be better. And that creates what? That creates a lot of errors when they feel like they got to hit better and better. And Danny bought into it and started adapting that mentality. And let me tell you, I don't know. What do you think, Danny?
I wish I had started it sooner. honestly.
You know, it's funny. I just learned something. And, I learned through teaching, but not through playing. Because I was always, okay, this point's gonna be 3 hits, that's it. My serve, my volley, my overhead, and that's it. He's gonna serve, I'm gonna chip, I'm coming in. So it was always doing this. I was always pushing this way. So I always saw the ball coming this way, not me tracking the ball going this way. So, but then when I tried to do that, I had no clue. Because I didn't have that type of experience to see what she see. But coming in, I could see. You know, I knew kind of track where it was going, but not that flight off somebody's ball, where it's going to bounce, the direction that it's going in, you know.
That's easy stuff, man.
Well, when you start at 19, it wasn't easy.
Right, this is true.
No, what I'm saying.
That way.
No, what you were doing. What I'm saying is that circular tennis, you know, that side to side stuff. That's easy, man. But what you were doing, that's difficult. They can't do that. Yeah. Ain't no athletes in the sport to do that. They'll say all the rackets are different, this and that, and all that belong. That's for them. It ain't even a sport yet on the men's tour. So, you know, whatever.
Danny, what advice would you give to an aspiring tennis player, whether to go to college or professional, in their transition from high school to college, and then from college to tennis?
Thinking back, I think it's really important to first define the type of player you are, to be very clear on that, and also knowing your weapons and knowing what to build on too. I think you need to find a second eye to make that known to you, because the build is endless, right? If you know what you're building.
Right.
But if you're just trying to go out there and be an overall better tennis player, you can work on the volleys, the slides, the ground strokes, and there's no like real purpose or direction. It's tough to build like everything at once. But if you have, and that's not to say you don't work on everything. You do need to be proficient, you know, a proficient tennis player, but to understand like who you are as a tennis player, what weapons you're bringing to the table, I think that's huge for any type of development, from junior to college to pro. And having that clarity just helps you like with that build, and also in pressure situations too, like who am I, and like I'm gonna send my best soldiers to beat my opponent today.
Yeah, and we call that what? Play identity. Play identity. You have to have play identity, and the earlier you can get that. I just wrote a blog on that a couple of weeks ago, by the way.
But that was easy. I was a certain volleyer. I mean, it was easy, right? In a sense, was it because of the era? You didn't have any. But you were either a certain volleyer or a baseliner, right?
It was off the ground.
Yeah, I know.
It was good off.
No, but listen, it was the era number one. Yeah. Because the balls were faster and it was slower courts, and that was and faster courts. Yeah. So that was the most effective way to play.
Yeah.
And also, someone along the way identified your weapons. Right. Troy, you're 6'4".
Yeah.
You had a big serve.
Right.
You had good volleys.
Right.
Someone along the way identified that.
I didn't have. I should. Damn.
Oh, you didn't think you had good volleys, Troy?
I thought I had great volleys.
Great volleys then. Someone identified that along the way. Someone identified that along the way. Listen, I went to the girls' national 16s and 18s in San Diego, and I just spoke to at a coaches conference, and that was my topic, play identity. And actually, the topic was obstacles from junior tennis to professional tennis. And I always go back to this saying from Juan Carlos Ferrero, the coach of Alcaraz. And he says, you know, the greatest gift that we have as coaches is to give our players identity. And that's all he sought to do with Alcaraz when he first got him. because he felt like Alcaraz didn't have player identity. He could hit the ball, he could run with it. He didn't have identity. And identity is exactly what D. Lao said. Know your weapons, build your weapons, identify your weapons, manage your weapons.
I'm a free thinker, okay? Liberated thinker. You said something very important, but I don't want you to rob yourself of this blessing. You said, if I would have known that earlier, right? I'm not going to let you get away with that, because you're supposed to know that when you're supposed to know it. And now that you know better, you can do better. And I'm leading up to say this here. Let me tell you something right now. So much money out there on the women's tour. When you got Clijsters and all these women coming out of retirement and all this, it lets you know it's weak. It's weak. Now, Joe Rogan is right. If you stay on that grind, see, because I'm going to tell you right now, listen, I'm a free thinker. You could play in a non-contact sport as long as you want and be successful. You have a Grand Slam in you if you want that, because you have the information now, right? And you can use that great information. That's why it was given to you. Now, it's your choice, right? Because we have freedom of choice. But you have the information. So, you know, in our culture, you know, we don't start peaking till we're in our 30s. That's a different culture. And it goes against everything in black sports and traditional sports. Gary Payton played for 20 years in the NBA. Michael Jordan, I get so many examples. So to say your career in tennis, weak ass sport, non-contact sport, non-collision sport, you're not rarely going to get a traumatic injury other than a twisted ankle. Or, come on, man. You bros, stay on the grind. Arthur didn't win Wimbledon until he was 33, and he was not a great athlete, and he beat Connors, who was 22. Okay? I love it, Venus out there 41 on the grind. Okay? Stay out there. Continue to pursue your dream. Man, our people have proven that the physical anatomy can endure. It is up to you and the spirit of you to be a free thinker and not think like the people think on the ATP and WTA tour that your career is over at 25 or 30. You're burnt out. That's for you guys. But I'm here to tell you, a new generation is coming in. And we're not thinking like that. We're not thinking like your career is over at 25 or 30. Are you kidding me?
But as you
Garrison
say,
Hurst, San Francisco 49ers, 2 torn ACLs.
yeah. But let me track it there, Troy. As you say that, I hear a lot of physical stuff, and you're right. But we all know that professional sports is not just physical.
Yeah, of course, Slinger.
It's
Tom Brady.
No. When we talk about mental health, even today.
Yes, I understand those.
Well, it's got to complement the physical, and in fact, it's got to surpass the physical.
Listen, I think Carmelita Jeter became the fastest female human being at almost 30.
Yeah, but we're not talking running 100 meters.
What? Oh, man. Now you're going to say one is greater than the other.
It is, Troy.
Performing in a platform. No.
It is. You think it's only physical?
No, I never said that.
Okay, so
I am not talking about physical. I didn't say nothing about physical.
No, when you give your examples, and when you talk about it, I hear
physical. And I'm not speaking physical.
Well, what about the mental and emotional part?
I'm speaking of the intangibles. When you have willpower, determination.
Okay.
You have perseverance, right?
You just said it.
Self-belief.
Hold on.
But I'm telling
what
you,
gives you that
thinker, and they put a cap on you in terms of that your tennis career. If you play 10 years or if you're 30, you're no longer capable of performing
Who
at a
says
high
that?
level.
Who says
That's
that?
the culture of tennis.
Whose culture?
The,
Whose culture?
Why are you backtracking me?
Well, I need to know. I need to know, like the viewers want to know. Whose culture? Who's thinking?
The current.
No, you can't say the current.
Of tennis.
You got Venus out there at 42, you got Federer out there at 40, and you got Rafa at 38, and you got Djokovic at 37. So what are you saying?
That's right. Those are great examples.
Okay.
Those are great examples, and what I'm saying is you got a whole bunch in your tank. A whole.
Or you're
bunch
saying
in
it
your
to
tank.
Danny.
Yeah, you have a whole bunch in your, because it was first you said she was giving some information that could have, maybe tilted your career in a different.
I think what sets all this aside, you got to ask her.
Right?
At what point did she want to stop?
Oh, you're
At
not
what
retired?
point, what did she want to do?
I thought she was retired.
I'm taking a break from competition.
Oh, well, that's.
It may be a permanent break.
Well, I hope not, because there's a lot of money out there. And you're young,
I know there's
and you're healthy and young, and there's a lot of money out there. And make as much money as you can, as young as you can.
I think what Danny was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, because we've been through this. I just want to clarify this. You're given information that you didn't know about in some form of action later in your life, yeah? Mm-hmm. Whether it's investment, whether it's finances, whatever. Mm-hmm. If you were given that information earlier, you could have used that more to your benefit.
Yeah, and if it's still applicable in the present, absolutely.
That's all she's saying, right? That's all she's saying is when she learned, when someone finally told her, which happens to be me, I think, that you're fast, you need to use your speed.
Yeah,
You have great hands.
Right.
You need to incorporate your hands in your game and stop giving up 10 feet behind the baseline and only retrieving balls. That information was not given to her
Okay.
as a player.
Right.
So all she's saying is, once she got that information,
Right.
she saw the benefits from it. She saw the damage that she was able to do even at this age. Had she had been given, she's 30, Troy. She wasn't given it at 18 or 16 or 14.
I understand.
So had she been given that information earlier, she felt like it could have been a lot more benefit.
Yeah, but it came the organic way. And from the wise old Al who coached him on the tour, I think you have a lot of still left on the table.
Well, let me answer Troy's question, or maybe this will help. I understand that. That's why I say this is a break. I don't know if I will go back. I still have goals that I want to achieve, but I also respect the profession. And if I'm not aligned, I'm not going to be able to achieve it also. And so that's where I'm at right now. I understand, and I talk to everybody about this who's asking, like, is it a break? Is it a retirement? I said, it's not the tennis. Honestly.
Don't call it a comeback!
It's not the tennis. It's not the tennis. It's not the training. It's not the tennis, because that's the easy part. It's difficult, but that's the easy part. It's the sacrifices. It's the lifestyle. It's having done it for 10 years. Mm-hmm. It's all those things. Mm-hmm. It's giving up also the other small projects that I want to do.
There you go.
Like, so it's all those other things that's making me, or having me, like, take this break. It's not whether, do I think I'm good enough? Do I think what I have going on, does it work? No, I know it does. It's just a matter of, at this moment, do I want a little change? Do I still want to pursue it? Because it's hard. And
what do they give you? Let me ask, that's a great question. That's a great question. Do they give players time off? Do they,
yes.
And you can freeze your ranking like in the old days?
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
How long is that?
You need to have a minimum of 6 months off, and then I think you can have it for as long as, like, 2 years off. Something along.
And they freeze your ranking?
Yeah.
That's fabulous. How fabulous is that? I mean, let's give a round of applause for that.
What are you thinking? you've had some time now, and you still have time. Obviously, you're not nowhere close to 2 years. How are you feeling? How are you? I mean, I know you've gotten into some coaching now, which I think is great.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'm still trying to sort through it. And do I miss the tour? I miss one thing, and I miss the prestige, the feeling of like conquering, winning, seeing everything come together. If I were to explain it from 0 to 10, winning a tennis match is like a 10. But we also know how the tour is. Sometimes 10s don't always happen. Sometimes they happen once every 2 weeks. You don't know, just because the competition's tough out there. Coaching, when you can connect with a player, I feel like that's an 8. But I could get 8s every day. And so at this point, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go back and go find those 10s? Or am I good with those 8s, like every single day? And as of right now, like I'm cool with these 8s because I'm also helping people also. And I also have this feeling of like everything I've learned, it's not stopping at me. And that's really like very new, a really new dynamic for me, because as a tennis player, it's always been like, I learn these things and it's for me. I train and it's for me, and it's for me, and it's for me, and it's for me. And I told Roger this before, I was like, I will never coach. No way. No chance. I don't think I'm gonna like it.
Why'd you say that?
I don't know. I'm like, as a professional, you're just so hyper focused. It's about me. Every move I make today doesn't move the needle to bring me to where I want to go, and you're just in that mode ever since you're 7, and then like you have me, like I'm just like hyper competitive since I'm young, and so every move I've made every single day has been about like, does this get me a little bit better, today? And so to even think that I want to help somebody else like with their tennis is like is nuts. It's crazy talk for me, and I just kind of stumbled into a volunteer assistant like coaching position at USC, and I thought I was just like volunteering my time, you know, being like USC is like my alma mater. I was just giving back to the school. But I was there for a month and a half, and I really enjoyed it, and I really loved it, and picked up a USTA collegiate summer team coaching job over the summer, and I even loved that even more. And I thought like when I was back at USC volunteering, I was like, it's just like, it's something new. I'm just excited right now. No big deal. It's just gonna peter out. But it's been 6 months. 6 months is not that long compared to, you know, the length of my tennis career. But the fire hasn't burnt out. I'm still just as excited. I tell my parents, I tell my boyfriend all the time, anytime I was going to coach, whether it's a 15K in Lakewood or a 60K in Lexington, I'll wake up and be like, I can't wait to go to work today.
That's great.
Excited.
So let me ask you a question, because you talked about giving. Hashtag Kelvin Brown. Thriving and giving. And gave you him. Exposed his life to you, his career of tennis, and being giving that way, all the way from Gardena, you know, to come and work. And now you've gotten to the point where, hey, you know, I want to do this. I want to give something. You know, I want to coach her. You know, so I think it's okay to explore avenues or anything in your life that you want to do. Sometime a little break, but you know, I'm at your time off, you know. Over there. I meant your break. You know, it's good because you can explore other things.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes we need those breaks in our lives to sort things out at what point, which direction we're going to go in, and you have the opportunity to have that and the time. And it's a good time to do it. I applaud you for that. I really do.
I mean, right now I'm having a great time with this break, but I tell my friends, it was a very tough decision to stop.
Yeah.
Because you're just like on the grind. You're like, and people are like, oh, once you stop, you'll never go back. But then you also know if I keep going the way I'm going in this state, I'm not going to get to where I want to go anyway. So, truthfully, stopping was even tougher.
You know, Troy still wants to play, though, right? That's this he's telling you.
No.
Troy
No, I'm not. You know what? You know.
You want to get out there, hit the ball. Watch the flight of the ball. Watch the line.
You know
get
what?
all the information that he's just
This is
getting
good.
when he didn't get it when he was out there. Come on, Troy, let's go back out, baby. Let's go. We can do it.
Let me tell you
It's
something.
double, man.
Let me tell you something.
Let's
I
get
mean,
back out there.
people are driven by different things. You know, I played tennis to become a multimillionaire. I don't give. I play tennis, and we play tennis to make money. We play sports to get out and to take ourselves to a different financial status. You know, so I get it. I understand that cushion that people have. And maybe I'll get me some therapy. Maybe that's why I didn't get number one in the world. But my dream was to play tennis and be number one in the world and be and that was the way I was going to get my money back. I think brothers that go in the NBA, NFL, it's that money bag, man. And, it's cool this generation, they can leave money on the table.
Danny, based on that, how would you assess that?
One word: expenses.
I'm gonna go a step further.
That's not cool because if you a top 50, then not compensating these players enough, because if she's top 50 in the world, I mean, you in any other sport, if you top 50 in the NFL, if you top 50, you're great, man. You're super great.
Listen, hold on. I have to step in here.
Talk to us, man. We're trying to
I'm gonna step in here because I do not want to give the false impression to kids out here. The problem with wanting money and only playing for money is you don't have complete control of that.
Guaranteed versus the risk factor of all of those innate emotions, brother, that you cannot avoid no matter what.
You are setting yourself up for disappointment.
Nah, man, you get past
Were you not? You just said it. You were disappointed. You got past it.
Made me a better man.
And you
made me a better father. Made me a better husband.
Exactly.
Made me a better friend.
So wait. No. So making the money made you a better husband and a better father? Or learning from not wanting just the money made you a better father and a better person? Tell me what made you a better father and a better person. The money?
No.
Thank you.
No, I was the disappointment, the letdown.
And you had to learn how to deal with
Learn to what? Pull myself back up from the ground.
So what made you a better person? The money?
Those experiences.
The experience of what?
Disappointment.
The experience of overcoming disappointment.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, but it wasn't the money.
Man, look, brother.
It wasn't the money.
Man, if you ain't got no money, you ain't no man. Who are you talking about?
Are you kidding? Did you hear this?
What world?
What world are you in?
I'm in a married world, brother, where I have to pay the mortgage. I have to bring home money. What is wrong with you?
Okay.
If you are enjoying this podcast, please subscribe on YouTube at Alotta Racket Podcast. And follow us at Alotta Racket on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And also my website, CoachRogerSmith.com, where we offer exclusive content, courses, one-on-one sessions, and more info on how you can join our community of tennis enthusiasts.
Listen very closely.
Man.
You know what? When I first got into tennis, it was a love for me, right? And it was all I had. So I say, this is what I want to make a living in. And I wanted to make money to take care of my folks, not to get rich for me.
Thank you for saying it. Thank you, Terry.
That's me personally, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I stopped because I had no more money.
Where do don't look at me. Where does all my money go to?
So I had to go in another direction. I had to reinvent myself, but I had the blessings of this sport that took me and gave me the job that I have.
That's beautiful.
That's me.
To be able to afford a living for your family. That's right. And I wanted to make some money on that tour so I could take care of my family.
That creates a career.
That's right.
Created a career.
That's
so
right.
there ain't no letdown in the career. It could be a letdown that I may not achieve what I wanted to achieve, but later on in life, you did achieve.
Yes, you learned that.
You did achieve.
You're trying to throw that process out.
You're trying to throw what process out? Troy, you are preaching those languages to your kids. You're setting them up for something that they may not get out of. Because there's a lot of kids that don't get out of it. You were fortunate enough to. There's a lot of people that are not.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Teaching, Roger.
You're teaching them to strive for something they don't have complete control of.
You don't have control over nothing.
Yes, you do. You don't have control of your attitude.
You don't have
control of your work ethics.
Man.
You don't have control of how much energy and how much passion you put into something. You don't have control over how many people you go there to try to help. That can bring you gratification, full gratification. You don't have complete control over that, Troy.
You know when you ask
no, do
me
you
that,
or not?
You know,
No.
I don't have
no, do you or
control.
not?
I don't have complete
You don't have complete control of your attitude?
I just answered you.
No, I didn't hear it. Say it again.
I said to the world, I am seeking for total self-discipline and complete control over myself. That is a lifelong journey in my faith.
But you have control of it.
To say that, no, because in my faith, I have to say all the control is with the Creator, and I really don't have any control over anything. Now, I can do the best that I can to control my thoughts and feelings, but no, man, you ain't got control over nothing. Now, you think you do, but what do you have control over, brother?
Let me tell you something. If I want to get up and walk right here, right now, I have control of that. Do I not have control of talking right now?
Absolutely, Roger.
Okay, so what are you talking about?
That's the physical, that's not the metaphor.
No, that is the meta.
We're in the barbershop right now.
Okay, this is a whole other topic.
You know.
No, listen.
Right here.
Listen. We will. This is another.
Is LeBron coming?
This is another topic. Hey, this is another topic. This is another
down thing. Everybody gets a trophy.
This is another topic that we will address later. I commend you. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I hear from what you were saying, you never thought that you could get into coaching, that you would have this interest or the satisfaction, and you found out that you do. You have a lot of satisfaction. You're so excited that you tell everyone. But I remember going through, number one, brain typing with you, and the second part of that was finding your purpose. And when we did that, Danny, I've always told you, right? Even when you didn't believe it, I said, look, you're going to be a great coach. You have so much to offer people. And you were like, no, I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, you do. You have a lot more than you think. You ventured in that direction, your choice. You're finding great gratification from it, from what you said. Is it fair to say that you lined it up with something that was dear to you?
Yeah, I would say thinking on that, I just want to provide like an opportunity and the experience for these girls or for whoever I work with that I wish I had earlier on. I think before, when I was a player, I was just like, no, my information's my information. I'm going to keep it to myself, and it's only for me because you're in the competitive world, right? Like, I need to succeed, not everybody else. But taking a step away from it things changed a bit. It was like, how do I give this to somebody? How do I give somebody something that I didn't have earlier on? And going back to like what we were talking about, like, I wish I had known that earlier. I wish I had player identity a little earlier. What do you think is the first thing I do when I come across a player?
What is it?
Player identity.
Wow. I really want to thank you because, you know, he's so dear and special to a bunch of people, and we love him so, so much. So, you know, for you to take him on as a coach and to believe in him, you know, we really love you for that, you know, because he's really, you know, special to us. So
I tell everybody, like, I've been wanting to get with Roger.
Wow.
Since I was a kid, but he's always unavailable.
Yeah, that's him. Wow.
16.
Yeah, since I was 16.
Hey D, so you mentioned earlier that the things that brought you like out of 10, you said was like a win. Mm-hmm. Are there anything right now, and not even in tennis or even in tennis right now, that you're working on that can get you the more of those 10s?
I think it's when your player comes off the court and they say something like verbatim of what you told them.
Nice.
And you're just like, wow, am I like truly that voice? Like in their brain, under duress, in pressure, am I truly that voice? And sometimes when it's like, man, I've been working with her for just a week. And she comes off the court and says this, and you're just like, oh my God, like, was it truly like that powerful?
Wow.
And it's an interesting connection too, because like a lot of things I say are things that I've learned, and it's like, wow, that hit me, but that hit them too. And to like have that connection, it's almost like tennis language, right? To like connect, speaking English, but like to connect with sport, tennis language, that's pretty awesome. So that's like a 9.5.
Wow.
I'll give you an example. Like I remember when I was first working with Roger, he was saying like, you can't hold it, you have to send it. All summer, I swear, every college girl will come off the court and be like, I sent it to Danielle. I sent it today. That tiebreaker, I sent it.
Let's go. What does send it mean? Give us a prime example.
I mean, when I was learning from Roger, he was talking about like energies, right? Like you can't be self-absorbed when you're on the court. You got to like send your energy. You can't be playing like internally. You have to be playing like out here. And so I see this like in college, in dual matches also. You see girls, they get tight. All of a sudden you can see they get self-absorbed, and all of them have a very similar experience. They come to me and go like, I just get so tight where I like want it so bad. Just like want it so bad, and I can't get out of it. But I also know like in a college setting, these girls understand like the energy of like sending it, because it's a different environment, right? It's not like a professional like match. And so I was saying like, you can't hold it, you have to send it. And something just like clicks with them. Maybe it's this generation, maybe it's because like we walked like a similar path. Like I played college tennis too. So when Roger told me, when we were first working, you can't hold it, you have to send it. Like I knew exactly what he meant. So I used it like on them, and they knew exactly what I meant too.
Wow.
And it's like an intangible too. It's not something, I can't just tell anybody like on the street, say, hey, like, you know, you gotta send your energy today. Like, no, you don't get it. You have to like have walked like a certain like path, a certain like process with your tennis, be in a certain environment to know like what that means. And so yeah, anyways, just using like that line and having it connect with so many girls, just like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, the term. Okay, beautiful.
That's amazing.
Through your process, and I consider you very successful, by the way. Okay, and it doesn't have to do with any of the other stuff, result oriented. Just because of the person who you are and who you've become. Number one. But anyway, on your journey to become successful, there's always someone or a group of people or an organization that you have to give credit to that stood with you and kept you going through these obstacles. Who do you link that to?
My family. Yeah, my parents. My dad was definitely the ambitious, parent. He drove me to work hard, have ambition, have dreams, think big, think outside my size, all these things. And my mom was just like the supportive parent who was going to have that energy of like, love you no matter what. So having that balance throughout my career has been great. Like for me, I also had a childhood coach, Cal Morana, and I had him since the age of like 14, and he was with me up until college. Went off to college, and I started to work with him again, like my last 2 years of college. And I do give a lot of credit to him. When I graduated, you know, I was just starting off, wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my career, and he just said like, hey, you know, do you want to go on tour? And I was like, I can't afford like to go on tour like right now. Like I'm just starting off as a new grad. And he says, don't worry about it. Let's work. Pay me lunch. That's it. And we did that for a few years. And Cal was like a second dad to me. So he invested like a significant amount of time with me to jumpstart my professional career. So between like my family, Cal, then I met my boyfriend Nam, who's been like really supportive of me throughout like the back end of like my
Shout out to Nam.
Shout out to Nam.
Hashtag nurse Nam.
Because we like to use this platform in a certain way. What would you like to tell those people? That you may not get to say every day, but
I just want to thank them for their sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know, just plain and simple. Because like, you know, I get it, like I had to sacrifice the most with the work. I had to make those decisions, but people come with those decisions too. A lot of those decisions sound serious. They come at the expense of less time with my family, less time with Nam, you know, and for them to, you know, I don't want to say put up, but to be all in with my sacrifices and to support me for it all these years, like that's huge. And for any ambitious person, any competitive athlete, they know that it takes more than just the one vessel.
yeah. There was an interesting article that came out. You might have seen it in the last day or two from Simona Halep. And she talked about how it was like she gave some percentage of 70%, or most tennis players are playing broke. They have no money. And then she gave thanks to several people that made it possible for her, because she said if it wasn't for them, and there was this guy at the club where she practiced, he owned a tennis club, and he gave her money to go on the tour. What's your opinion on the financial side of it? We'd like our viewers to kind of understand what it takes to be a professional tennis player.
Geez, like you think finance is like such an artificial like idea, like go for your dream, etc. But finances play such a big role in making this a career, and to have like, especially like with my family, having like my financially like helping me, like allowing me to stay at home still, supporting my junior career. There's no way I could have done it like without them. And like going into college, and my dad was very good at also making it known to me like the value in which like the time he was spending with me and the money he was investing like in my dream. He told me, you know, Danielle, you getting a full scholarship to USC, we are breaking even right now. He's like, we are breaking even right now with how much like we had to put into your junior tennis. And got it, Dad. Okay.
Yeah. and it is very expensive, even talking from experience. And there are a lot of players that had the potential that weren't even given a chance. Obviously because of finance, or cut their experience so much shorter because of finance. And
Man, I'm not gonna go down that pity. But come on, man, it's a blessing just to be able to pursue a dream in this great country. I ain't gonna go down there and play that, man. Play that victim role, the tennis position. Man, that's baloney. You're privileged. Privilege. You got 4 arms, 2 legs, whatever. Man, come on. It's kids that don't have arms, can't see, cancer. Man, I don't want to hear that. Don't play that role. That's baloney. Ain't nobody that gets a chance, an opportunity in this great country, an opportunity first of all, and then an opportunity to pursue a dream. So and you're going to sit up here and say to the privileged that it's expensive, to the privileged, to the wealthy that it's expensive? Come on, man. I'm not going to buy into
So
that.
You're saying money does not play a role? I'm trying to understand.
What is it I said it, Roger, in plain English. If you didn't, what are you trying to get out of me now, big brother?
I'm trying to get you to think
I'm trying
realistic.
I just gave it to you from a totally different perspective. You're privileged to play a sport. And not only
privilege to play a sport
and
privilege to be on the tour and fulfill your dream is two different things, Troy.
I don't care. You up here playing. You got them playing. This is the victim now. Oh, no, bro. I don't want to hear that. You privileged.
To do what?
You privileged to just be able to, I said it, to one, pursue a dream. Second, to have the physical capacity to actually be out there to chase balls down.
So you tell all your kids that no matter what, you're going on the tour.
No, I don't tell my three beautiful daughters that.
Your tennis kids, the kids that you coach.
I use tennis as a vehicle to promote education, brother. I don't tell anybody to turn pro. When I saw Serena, I knew she was great. When I saw Venus, I knew she was great. When I saw Sloane, I knew she was great. When you see greatness, brother, when you see it, it's there. You don't have to say nothing. It's there.
So Troy,
what are you asking me now?
The statement was, if you're trying to pursue a professional tour, it becomes very expensive.
Let me tell you something right now. You know what's? Of course it is, Roger. You're absolutely.
That's all I said.
Correct.
So where are you going with this?
Nowhere. You're right.
No, I'm not being right.
You're right.
I'm telling you.
It's expensive and it's extremely difficult and hard. Okay. Try being a single mom. Working 16 hours a day, brother. Trying to take care of 2 and 3 kids. What's that?
So related to playing professional tennis?
I'm just relating it to like you coming up with this narrative of how it's so tough and difficult and hard.
My narrative is it's factual, Troy.
Okay, that's
it
fine.
cost $300,000.
All right.
It cost $300,000, as it was quoted yesterday.
All right.
A year to play professional tennis the right way.
So what's the
So what are you saying? Everybody's got $300,000? Everybody's got $300,000.
I didn't say that.
But what are you saying?
I'm saying you're the tennis. You're talking to the privileged people. For the most
I'm
part.
talking to what it takes. I'm trying to make it real for the general person that wants to play professional tennis. It costs $300.
Don't try to play. Just say, hey man, it costs about $3. If you have any notion.
Well, wait, Troy. First of all, Troy, you don't tell me how to say it.
You're right.
You don't tell me how to say it. Number one, I asked the question to our guest. She made it very clear, having just experienced it, that it's very expensive. There's pressures that go with it. Not everybody has the means of $300,000 a year. Their dreams are lost because of finances. That's clearly what I said. You're the one that came up with, I'm feeling self-pity and all this stuff.
You're going to go back onto it. You'll see it.
What?
We'll see it all.
You'll see what all?
Well, this whole thing. You'll get to see it. I did not do that.
You just did do that.
Oh, yes, I did. I was saying.
You're saying that the privilege is just having the ability to play and all that. Yeah, of course it's a privilege.
It's a privileged sport.
But that don't mean that don't carry you on the tour.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But don't make it feel like they victims.
No, that's the way you took it.
Yes.
Okay, that's not the way. Okay, we're back from our break with Alotta Racket, and we have our special guest, Danielle Lao. Okay, all right. Question, Danny: how do you break down a match footage, and how do you build a plan for your players?
I break down match footage like you break it down.
Don't tell them that.
That's it.
What do you do?
So when I was working with you, you were showing me charting with momentum and such, and I've actually like taken to that with the players that I work with, and some people, they look at the chart and they go like, wow, that looks complicated. Do you put stats or whatnot? And I actually, to explain it to people who get a little intimidated by like the charting, I say this looks complicated, but this helps me make it simple for the player. It helps me see it clearly so that I can keep it simple for the player. So yes, I chart momentum depending on who I'm working with. Like I know when we're working together, you're looking for me using my forehand, coming to net. And so yes, depending on who I'm working with, I'm looking for their strengths. Are they using their strengths? And I have like certain abbreviations, and I can see when they are using their strengths, they're creating certain momentum. And like there are certain things or trends that maybe sometimes they do that are not within their strengths or not within their player identity that gives momentum to their opponent. And I make it known to my player when I show them, like, or when we talk about the match at the end. And sometimes it's not even like tennis things. Sometimes it's body language. I remember working with a player, and I was showing her, and she was saying that she wanted to work more on her body language, and she has a great serve. And I see her giving like fist pumps on her service games, but I like notice like on her return games, she does not give herself any love at all. And so like after our first match, I was like, maybe after you connect with one return, like, let's see a fist pump. Amazing, the next match. So she started to roll with that the whole tournament, trying to like, give herself some like positive affirmation, especially in her return game. She was breaking twice a set. And she told me prior to all this, like, I'm the type of player where I just hold serve and I just try to break once. But just like the efficiency of like showing her that and drawing that to her attention, it helped her for the rest of the tournament. She ended up winning the tournament.
Wow. Good job. And it also helps with the number one thing, communication.
Yeah.
Because we all know that players can say, no, I did do that, I didn't do that. And when you have it on the chart, there's no argument.
Yeah, and my personal experience with that too is like coming off of a court as a tennis player, you feel a match a certain way. There's emotions and stuff, like maybe coming to the net, maybe I like missed that one volley on a tight point and that counted for like 5 misses like in my head. But in reality, it was, I had like a positive, overall, appearance at the net. And so as players in the situation, in the moment, it's hard to see it clearly what truly happened, but it's great. Like the charting is a great like tool for me to see the match like in totality, and also to see it in segments too. Mm-hmm. And also like for me, I've noticed, I don't know if you have this experience too, when I'm charting, I see the match like in like 2 or 3 game spans. I don't just see it in one moment. I see that like this created this, and it's going to create this. Mm-hmm. I think I charted maybe like 20 matches this summer, and by the end, I was almost predicting return misses.
Wow.
Yes.
You could just like feel like
patterns.
You could just feel like the pattern when you're like looking at it, and it was just like so cool to see it in like snapshots, like just experiencing the match in a different way. Because as a player, you experience it like 1 point at a time, 1 point at a time,
right.
1 point at a time. But as a coach, charting it, watching the momentum, marking as you go, like I know what happened 3 points ago, but as a player I have no clue what happened 3 points ago because I'm in this moment. But to see it in like totality and in segments like that, it's been like so cool. Like I can't wait to get my notebook out when I'm watching a match. Even matches like I'm not present for, I'm like watching it, I was like, I just want to do tick marks, and I want to see the segments of the match because it just shows like a bigger picture.
Roger. I'm hearing Danielle, and then there's Sloan. Did you coach a lot of your players, or will they have the potential to come in That you preach that.
I coach based on, number one, their brain type, because their game style has got to complement their brain type.
Right.
And then I try to match their play identity with who they are. You're not going to get a passive person to be a serving volleyer, a successful serving volleyer. At the same time, you're not going to have an aggressive player look to hit 30 and 40 ball rallies and be consistent. That just does not match. So once you understand what you feel the best game style is for that player based on their identity,
right,
that helps the whole process. And it normally meshes with, gives them comfort.
Right.
Because they don't try to be someone that doesn't make them comfortable. It doesn't line up with who they are. Yeah. So.
I watch you and listen to you when we're talking about Sloan. And says, gosh, she needs to come in a little bit more. She's not coming in. She's not doing what we're working on. She's not coming in. What about Danielle in those moments?
Yeah, there have been times, obviously, when, and this is where Danielle can tell you about the charting.
Really?
Right? So we sit down, we'll even watch videos after the matches, and with my charting to see what compliments, and say, Danny, look at these 3 games you ran off. How many times did you get to the net?
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be like, oh, I didn't realize I came in 5-6 times in those 3 games. And I said, now look at these 3 games where it was either struggle or you might have lost a few. How many times you get to net? She said, maybe once or twice.
Wow.
It got her to believe. It got her to understand how effective she was as an aggressive player or the style of play that gets to the net. So it got her to buy into her style of play. This is how she identified her play identity.
So I like what you said when you're looking at videos and show her so far back on the baseline, retrieving and slicing.
Right.
And that changed.
That changed based, and that was even before I did her brain type. That was just based on, wow, she's got speed and she's got good hands.
Right.
Now, sometimes you could have speed and good hands and be a great counterpuncher. Djokovic has great speed, great hands. He's a counterpuncher, very effective. Why? Not all speed and aggressive, not all speed and hands means you have to be an aggressive player. It has to mesh with who you are. It has to. And that's who Djokovic, and who's to complain? And there's no one way for everyone, right? Everyone's different. Everybody can be successful.
Hey, Little Giant, how long did it take you to actually adapt to what he was trying to tell you? And was it when you finally found that it was clarity to you, was it just plain sight, or was it still obstacles to get there every day? Or
I think it was clear what I needed to do, but the adapting was difficult because of all the years I had been operating a different way. And certain days I felt I was adapting better, and certain days I felt like I would fight myself a little bit. And fighting myself not because I wanted to, but because of habit. Habit, programming.
Right.
so it's probably something where you just had to kind of just totally let go.
Yeah, and it's also tough to let go when you've been so successful doing it a certain way for a long time too. And also trying to find the balance while you're competing under pressure to go in the direction that you want to go and not in the direction that you've been trained for so many years to go. In practice, it was very clear all the time. But in competition, under stress, when there's fear of losing, wanting to win, whatever emotion you're feeling, sometimes time and that habit, it was hard to undo it.
To let everybody know that Troy's mic is not broken.
Well, and also too, it made Danny and I's relationship a lot less confrontational, because the only thing I had to say to Danny was, Danny, how many times did you get to the net? And he was like, I know, I got to get to the net, right? It had nothing to do with, get to the net, Danny. I'm trying. Get to the net, Danny. I'm trying. Right? It was like, how many times did you get to the net? Just making her aware of it. Hey, get back to your game style.
Did you ever come off the court pissed off and just venting to Roger?
No, have I? No.
No.
Who did you vent to? Or how did you process that? A loss and
I feel like for me, culturally, it's a habit to hold it to. And I think in a way that's good, but in a way that held me back a lot too. Like on court. You know, being a little self-absorbed.
yeah.
Just culturally.
Well, where does that come out when you hold something back so long or you don't express it?
I don't know. I think it comes out in my runs, in my workouts. Those are my outlets. Nam is wondering why I run so much. Now he knows.
But Danny would come off the court actually, and the first thing I always say is, what do you think? Give me an analysis of your match. She would nail it every time. She would nail it. That's when I knew she identified with who she was supposed to be or who she is. Because she would nail it. She's like, I know I didn't get to net enough, or I know I needed more first serves, or I could have taken that back in. I didn't stay with my patterns, or she would tell you.
Is that easy for you to get that out of your students or your players?
It's easier once they understand and they buy into who they are. It's much more difficult when they don't understand who they are, or who they want to be, or who they strive to be for success, you know.
You ever come off the court and been to Troy?
Sure.
It's a good question. I mean,
Sure.
And as players, I think me personally, I do hold things in. They come out in some other way. Like you said, like I go out and find them, they come out that way. I was scared to really show that part, that side of me. I always felt like that insecure. And I don't want anybody to see the rest of that out, But we've kind of gone off on each other after playing. Or if he told me something when we were in a doubles match, I didn't do something right, and then we kind of. But I was able to talk to him, and I was able to vent without him taking it personal. He was able to understand what I was going through. We'd give it back and forth, and then later on it's done, So I don't know a lot of players with their coaches, with their parents, with their friends. How do you come off a loss, or how do you come off of just something that was so close and you didn't get it?
That is the toughest thing in sport, and I was still trying to figure that out. 25 years in, and losses, can't sleep at night. I told this to a lot of the girls that I was working with this summer. The toughest thing you'll find in this sport, there's finances and the scheduling and your your work and building your game, like that's all difficult. But the toughest thing out here is to treat every match like it's the most important thing, and the moment it's done, to treat it like it's the least important thing, whether you win or lose. Because if you win, you have another one tomorrow,
right.
And yes, you could enjoy this win for X amount of minutes, but you gotta go on to the next thing. And if you lose and you're holding it for too long, what does that do to your building, and what does that do to your mental health too?
What do you say to the players who don't have those coaches, who don't have someone charting their matches, someone to talk to them about certain things, and it's just them, and they have to deal with these emotions, or not even knowing what they did wrong, or not even paying attention to things? How would you steer them in a direction?
Other than get a coach? I promise you, this summer, a lot of the girls, they'll say, hey, you added this to my game and whatnot, but most importantly, the biggest value they felt was, I have so much clarity after the match. And to have that clarity and to have that peace or that closure after a match, that whatever you saw, was it on or off? Whatever you felt, was it truly, what happened? And to be able to go into next week or into the next match with complete clarity of what happened, so that you can continue to build or adjust or whatnot. That, I think people really underestimate like how that affects the efficiency of your career. And I wish I knew that earlier too.
I had the luxury, that's that word again. I had the luxury of coaching girls and boys, and I noticed the boys, some of them, they weren't that serious. They come off their loss or whatever. The girls took it a little more personal.
Yeah.
It took a little more, it kind of stung a little bit more.
For sure, for females, I definitely do think we may take a result of a match and tie it to our self-worth a little bit more.
All right, that gets me a chance to say something now. Because
I'm not being sexist when I say there's certain emotions that we do all have, men and female.
Yeah.
But my experiences when I was coaching, and being able to deal with female girls when I was coaching, because I grew up with 6 sisters, so I'm able to really, I get a chance to listen and not jump in, just listen, let them vent, let them talk, and then help after that. You know, I really wanted it.
I thought the idea was to overcome your feelings.
I'll become Roger.
No, I'm asking if that was rhetorical, for goodness sakes. I thought the idea was to overcome out there. I thought the idea was to embrace and overcome. I thought the whole challenge was to overcome your feelings of insecurity, fear, doubt. You know, I thought it was learned behavior. In this situation, we're going to be 80% efficient on second serve returns. I don't give a how you feel. This is what we're going to do. So I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do the service drill in half the court and feed repetitiously until you get that neutral return down. Learn behavior.
You still got a spiritual warfare. Everybody does.
Oh yeah,
I'm still fighting.
What you tend to do is you have to build new habits. You have to build, other ways to get over it. But those feelings will still be there. That's normal. Everyone's going to feel a certain way.
Yeah, I would say for our work together, understanding who I was, that was pretty straightforward. The part that we had to work on and we constantly worked on was how do we allow it to happen? Not force it, but to allow it to happen. And that was tricky, especially overriding.
Doesn't that begin in practice, repetitious? Let's say like for example, it's known, Kobe Bryant went to Hakeem Olajuwon to learn a specific move. And he went there and he did it repetitiously over and over and over again. And then he used it in his games. That's deductive reasoning. That's not, why can't you get to this place where the coach tells you to do something and you just go out there and do it? Why don't you just do what the coach told you to do?
Because different players are different. They learn differently, number one. It's getting a player to learn how to do it.
That's through repetitious, practice and repetition.
The way they learn. It's not, you can do different repetitions, but how you get them to understand it is the key. You could do the same drill to 10 different kids. They don't all get it. Why? They don't analyze it,
processing. It's called auditory processing.
They don't auditory process the same. Exactly.
Levels, of course.
Exactly. So the key is, yes, the repetition is key, but the getting them to understand it, to connect to it, is the key. And so it's not, I'm just saying, that's the key. For me to get Danny to understand how to overcome some things, it had to work for Danny. I could tell Errol the same thing. He may get it, Danny may not get it. I could tell Danny one thing, she gets it, he may not get it, right? We could do the same drill, we could do the same amount, but if we don't get them to connect, for them, that's the battle. That's the battle.
Let me understand what you're saying.
You can do the same physical repetition. I could just feed cross-court forehands. I could say, get under the ball. Hit under the ball. She may not miss. He may continue to miss.
We have to find another trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the same repetition, And I don't care if I do that same repetition 100 times. If I don't get him to connect and her to connect, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, you have to meet them where they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the key. That is the key. No, that is the key.
See how easy that was? You didn't get defensive, man.
That is the key.
You talked through it.
You were open.
communicated.
You were open.
One of the things one of the things I learned from you was rants as well. I take 15-minute breaks and we have 5-minute conversation. We have conversations. We take those breaks and we talk tennis IQ. Before we go out there, the expectations of the drill, the purpose of the drill, how you're going to use this in match play, those discussions are critical. I think
Very
they're
critical.
so important.
Oh, very critical. Very critical.
You know,
because most players, especially at the highest level, they're good already.
Right.
You know, the toughest job we have is how do we get someone good better? And a lot of times they're good because they're stubborn. They've done a lot of good things. A lot of things has worked. So to get them to understand that it might have worked at a certain level, is not working as much on this level, it's actually getting you in trouble, is a lot of them don't accept it. Right? So that's my question to you too, Danny, is you're now coaching at a certain level, whether it's college players or pro players or getting into pro tennis, and they've had some success at a certain level. How will you, or what have you done to get them to understand that they're still going to have to build on some things that they thought was successful?
I see this theme a lot with college girls, successful college girls. They come off a court, lose a match, and they go, and the first thing they say is like, I just got so tight. I know when I'm out here, I have to take it from somebody, but I just don't know how. And in college, they say this, but the way I did it here, like today, it works. This is why I'm so good in college. And so like we dive a little bit deeper in that, and I say, most people, when they talk to you and they say, wow, you're so great in college because of, and they say, because I don't miss. That's almost every girl I've talked to, that is the line, because I don't miss. And I say, okay, let's understand that. I was like, there's another layer to that. Yes, you don't miss. I was like, but you don't miss because you are mentally tough. I was like, you're not great because you don't miss. You're great because you are mentally tough. And because you are mentally tough, you could put that elsewhere. So when I connect that on the Pro Tour, I say, when you're out here, you can't be telling yourself, I'm great because I don't miss, because you can't take anything from anybody if you have that mindset. I don't miss. I can't miss. That you can't take anything out here from a great player with that type of mentality. I was like, so this is why we look at your weapons, because you're bringing your A game to take something away from your opponent out here on the Pro Tour. And so when I explain that to them, then they understand that I could be mentally tough to use my weapons, not mentally tough to not miss.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. That is very true.
Okay.
In today's game, you can't go out there and say, I'm not going to miss, to think you're going to win. The game is much more physical than that.
Yeah.
Now, you have a better chance on clay with that mentality, but definitely not on grass.
Oh, you mean just getting the ball back in play?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's the level they're playing at in tennis. Well, I'm in college, right? A lot of it's don't miss. They make a lot of balls. They're not even playing with purpose, actually. But they run and they're just retrieving balls. You can even do that great in the juniors and be number one junior in the world. Until reality kicks in. When you play someone like Sweet Attack, you may not miss, but if you're not doing nothing with that ball, she gonna run around and nail you every time. Or Sabalenka, or Rybakina. It can only take you so far. And that's what Danny is saying. It's tough to get them to understand that. And so what is your So again, you just get them to.
Yeah, so I mean, to simplify it, it's the simple thought of like, what got you here does not always get you there.
Yes.
Also,
Exactly.
So what I'm hearing is that we go to college, men, to continue to develop. So what I hear over here is that when does the concept of, I mean, it's simple. You're here to continue to develop. Are they at an absolute and this is it? I'm not developing anymore. I'm just, this is, they don't have the mindset like we had when we went to college to continue to develop our game. And so if you have that mindset to develop, then you're open for adding on to your game.
Yes.
I will say sometimes it gets a little.
Did you have that mindset?
Yes.
That you were going to continue to develop?
I had that mindset, but I didn't have the proper training and the clarity in my game to do so. I became better at what I was doing, but I wouldn't say I developed like as a tennis player.
You didn't develop at the
I didn't
pace you
develop
thought
my
you could've.
weapons. I was already good at what I was doing, but I just got even better and more mentally tough. That's how I
At
rose
what
to
you
the
was
top
doing.
of college tennis.
Interesting. That is a good conversation. That's very good. You
Yeah.
just got better at what you were doing, but to actually develop and add onto your game and to open the dimensions of strategy and
Yeah.
to actually
And weapon development.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, and you got to understand this now, in college, it's about what? Only what? What do the coaches want?
W's.
They just want you to win.
Yep.
And if I have a number one player just making balls and winning, she's going to stay at number one and win all day.
But can I ask you a question? So P.D. Smith didn't look at players and say, hey, there's a player I can develop to be my best sixth player or to be my best, I can still develop these players.
He did.
It's a parallel type of a thing, right? Also winning, but I can develop these players to be great college,
And see, that's why, and you would notice, that's why it's important to have a leader on their college team and to have at least one or two guys that you see, and hopefully you'll trickle down to the 3, 4, and 5 guys. You see the way they're developing and they're producing and they're going, you're like, I want to get there too. Mm-hmm. And so Peter had that. He said that. And that's why he had 6 guys. His number 5 guy is now breaking through top 30 in the world. And maybe his number 2 didn't break top 30. But that guy 5 saw the number 2 at some point and the number 1 and just continued to develop. So you hope that it trickles down from your leaders. That's why it's very important to identify your leaders on the team, and you were a leader. I mean, you got chosen as a captain, not just because you're playing, but also, what do you think led to that?
For me, it was by example, just how you do things. We joked a little bit. What do you have, Danielle? Like, as a team leader, I said swag.
Hey, I want to ask, this young man I'm extremely proud of. Hey, what was the mindset at UCLA with Rance and Teller? Were they developing players, or winning was just were those players there to develop and get better as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, at UCLA, that's what their pride is, to bring in a lot of aspiring pros to play on tour, and in order to do that, you have to develop. And Rance was, as well as Stella. Stella she's behind the scenes 95% of the time, but Rance he's the one, especially putting in a lot of those hours on the courts. And Stella's just the one foreseeing everything. So she's just their system they have is amazing, but it's all development from the Jen
So
Brady's.
they already know going into that university.
Yep.
The mantra is you're gonna develop. So. So I think that in the recruiting trips, you put the players in the mindset coming in that, look, what you were doing, as you said, was good, but look, and that automatically can open up the mind.
Well, that's the only way to recruit if you want to build a national championship team.
Yep.
You got to get players that want to get better and want to develop, and you got to sell them that I can get you where you want to go. That's the only way to
And not
to
only
build.
sell them, but actually do it.
And actually do it, of
And
course, because
actually,
reputation succeeds everything. You could say it, but if you don't develop, word's gonna get out. Players are gonna leave. To tell you the truth, parents are gonna get involved. What's happening to my son? That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Coaches, that happen from if you had a coach and you develop a player and they go to college and you just see they're regressing, you're gonna have questions and say, wait, man, did you change your goals? What's going on, right? So, and that's why I think it's so important to have a team.
Were you guys all captains on your team? Were you a captain?
I was a captain, yes.
I was a co-captain. Didn't make me.
With Troy Turnbull?
Yeah.
Well, there's co-captains is nothing. I didn't want to ask how you felt, man.
What's your favorite part of tennis, Danny? What's your favorite part of tennis?
I lost the script when I was playing, but it really is like the building and the process. Coming back and seeing tennis from the coaching standpoint, I've like refurbished like my love for it, because as a coach, that's all you're looking for,
Right.
That's good.
right? That's all you're looking for.
And do you ever find that now that you understand this, you get so excited, do you find yourself wanting it more for them than they sometimes
all the time,
they want for themselves?
100%.
Because you see it so different.
Yeah, it's clear. But yes, and you just know like the direction and what it's gonna take for them to like get to where they want to go. And I totally get like where you're coming from when we were working together too. And I was just like, wow, was it really this clear for Roger too? but also just like the perspective, the big picture, all of those things that it was so hard to see as a player, but to see it as a coach, and like really, that really is what it's about. Like it's kind of come full circle, and it's been great for me to see it on this end too, and especially like when I wanted to take a break from competing, I just felt kind of like jaded by the process, right? I've been in the process on tour 10 years. You're just kind of jaded by the journey a little bit, because you have your ups and your downs, wins and losses and all that, and after 10 years you're like, like was it worth it? Like, and then you see the process in totality for other players, and you're like, it is totally worth it. Like, and it's really like rich, and the value, you just don't see that value until you're trying to give it to somebody else.
No, absolutely. One last question. What has tennis taught you about life? And I think this is what Troy here consistently preaches too, that it's more than just a game. It's really about life in general. What has tennis taught you about life?
A lot of things. One of the things I always go back to though is like how you do small things is how you do all things. And also understanding like who you are, and how once you understand who you are, you can fully express yourself and then allow yourself to be like your best. And that's like a constant challenge, like on court, in under pressure, practice, training, aligning with your goals, making sure you still see the big picture, even when like all you want is the win, like right now. So yeah, to see like the picture in totality and who you want to be like at the end of all of it, that's been like so important for me to understand, like, and I still grow into it every year too. So to see it as yes, like a life sport, and constantly teaching me new things about like how I want to be, like not just on court, but like off the court too. And to completely align with what I want to do and how important that is to succeed on court and off the court.
That's awesome. Coach Terry T-dawg Davis, in closing, my brother.
You know what? I want to say, it amazes me, and a lot of people here on the podcast, that the connection. Who would ever think that Kelvin? And as soon as you told me, I was like, that's deep. That goes way back. I want to talk to him about you.
Yeah.
I really do, because it's very special, because now I get the opportunity to go and have a conversation with him about you. tell you what a wonderful person that I met. And I love to talk to you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Even though you got caught in the barbershop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coach Easy.
Hey, Danny, you know we go way back. I mean, we from Carson days to us grinding on the courts in the backyard. You know how we do. But hey, I mean, every time I see you, it's always good to catch up, and you know, many more battles to come on and off the court, and good luck for everything that's up and coming this upcoming year. And I'm just excited to see what you're gonna do because I know you're gonna do great things.
Oh, thanks, and,
Awesome.
and to you, Errol, like I don't think people give you enough credit for this,
Yes.
but like training with Errol, like I really understand like how important environment and energy is. Like just the experience, like as a whole, to train, to push yourself, to be in the right environment with the right energy, like that is priority to like anybody out there trying to do anything difficult. Environment and energy. Errol taught me that.
No, thank you, D.
Coach Victory Troy.
Well, it's just such a pleasure to meet you. You know, I got a chance to watch you, you know, hit some balls, and it was just really, it was wonderful to watch your display of athleticism and skill out there on the court. It was really, really nice to see. Hey, are you guys gonna be a tennis family? If when you know you're gonna you vision yourself, are you gonna have like are you gonna have like your kids second generation?
No, not if I had any control over it.
But you turned out all right.
Knowing what I put my parents through, no. No. What I put him through, no.
This is great. But we use tennis as a vehicle to further our education. You know, your tennis, your GPA, AP classes, and your SAT and ACT scores. And you're on that high school team for 4 years, and you know, you've been a captain on the team. And so we put that package together as the complete student. And you're a great representation of what that complete student is all about. So thank you very much. I'm so excited, and you know, I just wish I could have invited all of them here to meet you. It would have been such a great inspiration, you know, for them to meet you. You know, so thank you, and I can't wait when this is over to text all of them and tell them that I was hanging out with you. So thank you. All right. I don't know how you put up with this guy, man. He talk all that, but you know deep down inside, he's a dictator on the court.
Hey. With that, Danny, in closing, before I close it out, anything you would like to say, a message that maybe we didn't hit that you would like to shout out to any aspiring tennis player or current tennis pros out there or anything?
Jeez, there's a lot. I think one of the main things I always like remind myself when I'm working, when I'm making those sacrifices, there's always that question like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? It's always worth it. If you're questioning it, it's always worth it. The work, the sacrifices. I also knew going into it, like, yes, I had goals to achieve, but the work, the training, the building, even though it wasn't clear in the beginning and it became clearer later in my career, that process, that journey, that was the dream.
Yes.
Actually, that was
absolutely.
The dream. And when the work is no longer the dream, then it needs to be
of course
reassessed. Yeah. But it truly is like
if you don't have the passion to put the work ethics in, to be out there and to be on the love the grind, and you have to love the grind. You have to love it. It can't be a question in your mind. You know, you have to get up in the morning and can't wait to run. Mm-hmm. You can't wait to go to the gym. Can't wait to get on the court. Can't wait to see your coach. Can't wait to hit 1,000 balls. You know, can't wait to eat and go to bed 8, 9 o'clock in the morning and get up 5, 6 in the morning. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of like you have to have that as a passion.
No, it's true. I tell a lot of the girls this year too. I said, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You get to do this. And it's like you said, you get to play the sport. It's tough in competition. You lose that script sometimes. Mm-hmm. And when I wake up now, that's one of the things that I ask myself, like, or I try to get myself to wrap my head around. I get to do this. I get to run today. I get to do all these things today.
Yeah, a place of gratitude. If you
Yeah.
can get, if any athlete could get to this place where you're performing based on gratitude and humility, I think that is really, you found the essence of what, what God gave you this tool in your life for, is to develop, gratitude and a spirit of humility.
Well, look, we just here at Alotta Racket and myself just appreciate you being here. I know you have a busy schedule, but just, and you're wearing your hat, I see. Awesome.
Got the swag on.
Got the swag on. The coach with the swag. We got to change your name. But even on a personal level, Danny, you've always been one of my favorites, even from going back to you, Carson. And I love those cookies and stuff you used to bring me. You call it a brown nose. She used to suck up to the coach, Brie. But you're always one of my favorites, and my experience with you, just as much as you say I've learned from you too, even as a student. There's no one that was more dedicated, just a hard worker, just disciplined. I mean, you tell Danny to hit 100 balls, she wants to hit 1,000. You tell Danny to hit cross court, she's going to hit an extra cross court. Get her at 10, just like the podcast today. Get her, she's here right on time every time. Every time I'm here, I'm like, oh shoot, I got 15 minutes. This is just the kind of person she is. She had her routines down before matches, and one thing she didn't mention that I always said she needs to do, her and Nam, they need to open up a restaurant.
Oh,
because
yeah.
this girl can cook.
Really? Oh, yeah. What?
Steak?
What? Dude.
Oh, the best steak
She can cook a perfect
ever.
A perfect.
And she knows everything about the steak and the part of the cow and how it should be cooked. And
We're doing the podcast and we should eat and do the podcast at the same time.
we had housing in Texas, man, a year ago, and we went to this all steakhouse, and the guy that was bringing the steak, and Danny would always say, and he was like, okay, this isn't just a steak customer, and then he started bringing out the best cooked, best tasting steak, because he knew she knew. And we had the best time, and our house was so amazed. They were like, oh my God, this is great. You know what I mean? Hey, but a lady of many talents, and it's just a pleasure to even know you, and anything you ever need that I can help with in coaching or anything, I'm here. We're here. You got a team now to work with, because I believe in team.
You already did. I'm for sure a better coach because you coached me.
Thank you. But we love you, and we got to have you on again at some point. Okay, if you would give us a time. Yeah, at your house for dinner. Hey. Thank you, D.
Thank you, D.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.